Hey guys, it's Katie
and Kenny
from the Haunted Heart podcast, and we wanted to have a chat with you guys before we get started in today's episode about a really, truly scary topic. Now, you know we love scary shit on this show.
Yes, definitely.
But you know what's really scary?
Yes, well, there are a number of things, but please inform me.
Disaster recovery and relief efforts. For those of you who may not know, there was a massive tornado that hit the Nashville, Middle Tennessee area a few weeks back, and unfortunately, it's not getting the news coverage that we feel it deserves because of the coronavirus hysteria. So we just wanted to take a quick moment to call out that there are folks in Nashville who desperately need help. People who have lost their homes, people who have lost everything, basically, and they need help rebuilding. But in order to do that, they got to have cash.
They got to have them funds, girl.
They got to have them funds. So we wanted to let you guys know if you're interested in making a donation. The best organization, well, I don't want to say best. That feels very judgmental. But the preferable, I guess, organization is the Community Foundation of Middle Tennessee, and they are running an emergency response fund for relief efforts related to the tornado. And you can find them at cfmt.org. That's C as in Charlie, F as in Frank, M as in mother, T as in talking, which I'm doing too much of right now, .org. And you can make a donation there via PayPal or credit card, or if you want to donate by check. I don't know why you would, but if you want to, like through your bank bill pay.
Well, check yourself and leave some coin on that dresser for them.
You can make your check payable to the Community Foundation of Middle Tennessee and mail it to P.O. Box 440225, Nashville, Tennessee 37244. Again, check out all the details at cfmt.org. And be well. To all of our listeners in Nashville and Tennessee, we're thinking of you.
Yep.
And we love you.
Stay spooky, folks.
Stay spooky. And on with the episode.
Thank you for letting us in.
I was burying bodies out in the desert.
Neighbors claimed they practice witchcraft.
Welcome back to the Haunted Heart podcast, guys. Are you okay after last week's episode? Because I'm not still.
Not doing well.
I'm not doing well. Not well at all. I just wanted to point out, tried to upload the episode, and one of the audio clips that we inserted just dissected itself from the entire thing post-production.
Yeah. The one for UVB, the UVB
the
number
Russian
station.
One. Yep.
Yeah.
I uploaded
it. Went up and then
posted it to Patreon and everything.
Man, I hope that's not like a pattern though, because then we'll be like, you'll hear the sound clip here, and then they hear just literally like 13 seconds of silence.
And then another spooky thing is that when I uploaded it to our web hosting platform, when I plugged it in, something came up in the description box, which nothing is supposed to come up in the description box because that's just the shit that you type.
Yeah.
But like I uploaded it, and then like these weird numbers like 01101, it was binary.
It was trying to send you a message.
Like when
you should have put it in your binary code decoder from high school.
I actually still might.
You should.
But I just am afraid of what it's gonna say. I don't want to know.
I was too afraid.
So I hope you guys are doing okay.
I hope you're still listening. I hope you haven't sworn off sound waves, because that would be a very poor business plan for us.
I mean,
actually.
honestly, great. Just that's perfect. Just lead people away from listening to radio.
Yeah, they're like,
/podcasting.
I'm out of this audio platform bullshit. I'm only watching cable.
Nope, only cable, only Netflix, and that's it. No more. So hope you're doing okay, guys, because it's scary out there. But congratulations to you for gaining your daylight back.
Yes, I'm very pleased. I know that our community is mixed about this. I know that we're a bunch of goths who love the darkness, and I love the darkness too. Nothing's better than a hot summer night.
That is true.
Working a little witchcraft. We don't need no clothes. We don't got to worry about no frostbite. We love it. But it is nice. It is nice that it's light later. For me, not for you. For you?
I feel like this hour is like a child that we have custody over.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And
From
it's
a broken
like,
home.
And it's
Yes.
like it goes back and forth between us, and I just feel like I had to like give you custody, and I'm like, I don't know. Or like we switched, like one child is from the darkness, one is from the light, and then like I've got the light child, and I'm just like sitting over here like, you your mama's son.
No, it's good. I'm very excited. Anytime that I can wear less clothing is a great time for me because I am a sweaty lady.
Yeah, you do that anytime. So anyway, how you been?
Not this winter. Actually, this winter I had to I keep having to wear clothes like around my house, which is not what I need to do. Like it's just been so cold. That's the thing about losing weight, man. You get fucking cold. I feel like a tiny wayfish thing,
So then
and
you
yet
just
I'm
have to
not.
Layer yourselves with things other than fat.
Fat, which
Yeah.
is just not the vibe for me. Although I guess it is the vibe.
Not a
now.
vibe.
It's not, man.
It is not
It's
the
a lot
aesthetic.
easier to just eat an extra large like stuffed crust pizza.
I'll tell you what, that's the correct way to warm yourself up.
True.
Jesus.
Anyway,
I think we have an invocation
we
today.
do. We do have an invocation. I'm very excited. We have one
One
standalone.
Ooh, she said,
Ooh.
I don't want to be on an episode with everyone else.
She said,
want my
I
own."
don't need an ensemble. I am
Not an ensemble.
the ensemble.
ensemble.
Hashtag not an ensemble. The hell. Do people still hashtag things vocally? Is that out of fashion?
Apparently not, because we watch The Circle, so we hashtagging everything. in
Oh,
every
that's true. We
conversation.
did.
Hashtagging everything.
Yeah, Kenny and I are doing this annoying thing. Hopefully, we don't do it for you guys on the episode, but we're doing this really annoying thing where we will say, "Hey, circle," and then we'll say the thing that we wanted to say to each other, like in each other's physical presence.
Yeah,
It's really
it's annoying.
irksome.
It's not cute.
Feel free to roll your eyes at us because I am internally, and yet I keep doing it. So, so this next this Patreon that this Patreon member.
See,
sorry,
you
this
did it.
Patreon.
I did it last week.
I do
You
it.
did it.
I fucking this patron of Patreon.
Yeah.
Whatever. We will be invoking this person, and I am trying my best to not sing the train song and show my age.
Please don't.
Because this person might hate that.
Yeah,
I
don't.
feel strongly that this person might hate if I sing the train song. Because they probably get this train song sung to them all the time.
Yeah. So I just don't. Please don't.
So I'm going to say in my least melodic voice, welcome to the Haunted Heart Harem, Virginia. All right, my love, your candle is lit and is burning brightly right in between our mic stands. No need for an ensemble.
Lighting our way.
Lighting our way through the end of this episode. We gonna need it, girl. It's a Kenny episode. I don't know what he's
Fuck
gonna talk
you,
about today. I
bitch.
don't know where we're going, but this little candle is gonna light our way through the end of the episode.
Yes, it is.
But we'll burn symbolically forever within our dark, dark hearts.
Yeah. There you go. That was great. You did a good job.
Thanks for interrupting me. I'm sure that Virginia appreciated it.
I'm sure she also appreciated the yee truck in the background there too. So
Oh, excellent.
that was going on. But anyway, yeah, no, we're probably gonna need it. I just want to put up the warning.
But yeah, we are gonna need it.
We are gonna need it.
Just scoot this candle a little closer to me. Thank you.
Yep,
Okay.
yep. You might want to do that. So you presented a great episode last week.
Well, thank you.
And it inspired me to do better.
Please don't, because then we have to
It was
be
a lot
better.
of work. It was a lot of work. I know.
Also, can I just say, like, round of applause for Kenny on the editing on the last episode. I scripted everything out and wrote in all these sound cues that I wanted, like a bitch. And then he's the one who actually had to take it from page and like make it actually happen.
Yeah, I believe one of her edit notes was insert vintage summer noises.
Yes.
And I'm like, what? What is a vintage summer noise?
Yeah, that's the way I write sometimes. But I knew you'd get it. You got it.
So what did I
It's
do?
fine.
I inserted a copywritten song.
Yes. You did. You did.
And then also edited said copywritten song.
He was like, I found this cool song, like it's from the 80s, like it's from like that it's from 1984. And I was thinking that you found like some cool obscure like bullshit. I was like, what song is it? And you played it for me and I was like, this is fucking Bananarama.
I mean, yes.
I
mean, yes, it is. I know that it's I know that it's a
super.
a
I was like, well,
well-known song,
maybe.
but still.
I was like, maybe we won't get in trouble if it's like a vintage, like a not vintage, but like if it was like some shitty band from like the 80s that like nobody ever heard of, and then you played it, and I was like, well,
listen,
here we are.
It's the perfect song. It was the perfect song.
I mean, I love that song.
The lyrics talking about voices that you can't understand.
Yeah,
it was perfect.
I think you should let
Just
the art
couldn't.
speak for itself.
That's fine. Yeah, I know.
But what I'm trying to say is don't get used to it. Because you know over here it's about the trash talent.
It is always about the trash talent.
We ain't got no editor. We are the editor.
I am the fucking editor. Bitch, I got a nameplate. I got a nameplate that says Midnight Werewolf.
It's true.
The editor.
It's because I gave it to you. So never forget.
Listen.
I have no authority to award you with that title.
Whatever. Anyway. So, yeah, fair warning. This episode may get a little dark. So, trigger warning.
Flashback to the other, like, 90-something episodes we've had.
But, well, yes. But I tried to not make it... Well, let's just go.
Okay. Yeah, just get into it.
Let's just get into it.
Get into it,
fair
and then
warning,
we'll kind of see what it's going to be.
Yeah, fair warning for everyone. This kind of a dark topic. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm ready.
All right. June 25th, 2007. The Ukraine. 33-year-old Ekaterina Ilchenko went out one evening to meet a friend at her apartment for tea. After the two friends parted for the evening and said their goodbyes, Ekaterina was making her way home when she was viciously struck in the head with a blunt instrument. Ekaterina's body was found by her mother early the next morning. Within a short walking distance, Roman Tatarevich had been sleeping on a park bench, awoken by the shock of a blunt object cracking the side of his skull. His body was later found on the park bench, his face rendered unrecognizable. On July 1st, two more victims, Yevgenia Grishenko and Nikolai Serchuk. Yeah. I'm looking over at Katie like...
Go for it.
Like, please help. Please.
All good.
I am not from the Ukraine. That were found murdered in the nearby town of Novomoskovsk. I should have thought about this before I really should have thought
It's all
about
good.
this.
Go
These
for
lots
it.
of words. Lots of letters. July 6th.
We only got one listener in like Russia and the Ukraine combined. I think
Cool.
actually we're all right.
Cool.
You're fine. They're not going to make fun of you. I'm going to make fun
Are
of
they
you,
technically
but they're not gonna.
a listener if they listened once and then stopped?
Not
Because
sure.
I think we still have just that one download in Russia.
I might
and then
count
it
them.
went away. So July 6th, 3 more deaths. Igor Neshvoloda, bludgeoned while walking home from a nightclub. Alina Shram, a 28-year-old night guard, was then murdered several blocks away. Valentina Hanza, a mother of 3, wife, and care provider for her disabled husband, was the last in the murder spree on July 6th. July 7th, 2 14-year-old boys by the names of Andrei Sidyuk and Vadim Lyakov went fishing, and during broad daylight, they were attacked. Vadim managed to escape. Unfortunately, his friend was not as lucky. July 12th, Sergei Yatsenko was accosted at some point while riding his moped to visit his granddaughter. He was brutally attacked and tortured with blunt objects being thrust into his abdomen and his eye sockets. Yatsenko was 48 years old. He had recently been forced into retirement due to a cancerous tumor in his throat. The treatment left him unable to speak for some time, but Yatsenko was unhappy with being unable to work and continued to find odd jobs around the village. He took on small construction projects, fixed cars, weaved baskets, and cooked for his family. He was beginning to regain his voice by the time of the murder. Yatsenko was married and had 2 sons and 1 grandchild. He also had a disabled mother whom he looked after. And as he took his last breath, I'm sure he could potentially hear his attackers.
What? Is he still alive? He moves his arms despite I cut his veins. He's having a bad day. He's not dead, and I have even picked his eyes out. I don't understand. How did he live? I touched his brain. All right. Let's take a picture.
And it's with that, we now zoom out of the picture into December of 2008, where you're sitting and looking at your computer screen after having clicked on a seemingly fake video titled 3 Guys, 1 Hammer. And you watch as a man that you don't even know draws his last breath. His face reflects in the light of your eyes as you exit out immediately and shut your computer off. Or maybe you don't exit out. Maybe you stay. Maybe you close your eyes. Maybe you gag. Maybe you're trying to desperately look for something that would point out that this was fake. Or maybe it's 2020 and you find yourself on a disreputable website that is challenging you to a task. The task is to make it through 20 of the internet's most vile videos, each worse than the last. And as you stomach through the first 19, you land on this one. You take a deep breath, rub your eyes, and click play. And through the camera, you see the cowardly attackers of a poor man lying helpless and dying in the dirt. So, this video was posted on a website that I found.
Rotten.com?
No, it's not. I'm not going to give out the name of the website, but just I found it accidentally.
Okay.
While trying to research and, just being the glutton for punishment that I am, I clicked it.
Yeah.
Like I said, not going to give you the name of it, but it's essentially a website that challenges you to watch some of the most foul videos found on the web. There are 20 videos, each worse than the last. The webpage is very basic. It's got that, 90s...
Angel Fire vibe.
Kind of. It's black background.
Oh, yeah.
Primary colors.
Oh, yes. Quite Angel Fire.
Yeah, very, very, very seedy.
Yeah.
And so it's essentially just...
kind of a Heaven's Gate vibe.
Pretty much. Except
less fun aliens and...
Yeah, I was going to say, no fun aliens. No, pink neon, 80s vibes. This is, red, you're going to die vibes.
Got it.
Or possibly download a virus into your computer. Who knows? So... the website, like I said, it's very black background, simple lettering. It has a warning, a little box with a play button, and then another green button that says, begin your journey.
The fuck? You on the dark web. You on some Tor browser bullshit over there. You
really
dark
was.
webbing.
I really was.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was a little... it was that. So I started watching, and so it really kind of starts out very, very simple.
Okay.
So the first video is just kind of like a, ooh, that's kind of gross moment. These 2 people were arm wrestling, and then one person
snapped somebody's
not
arm.
Snapped it, but it became dislocated a little. It became dislocated. It looked like.
Yeah.
And went over, and I was like, "Ooh, that's kind of gross."
Don't
but okay,
care for it,
right? But then it just gets weirder. It gets darker. There's some porn on there too. The porn was gross, but
Was it?
yeah.
What happened?
Well, there was one guy who put a bottle up his ass,
Okay.
a glass bottle,
Okay.
and it broke.
I feel like I heard about that person.
Yeah, it broke.
Or we made a joke about that on the show. I think I've heard about that person. Anyway,
It's possible.
yeah.
There was
you can't
another
be doing
one
that.
that-
Don't
no,
do that.
don't.
do that to yourself.
It was a hollow, not a glass. It was not a bottle. It was just a regular glass, like a drinking glass.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Dude, like the fuck.
You just gotta.
And
You just gotta not.
yeah, so
That's that way leads to disappointment. You know what I mean? Nobody's gonna really fulfill you or fill you after that.
No,
you
that's
really
what
don't want to head
happens.
down that path.
I bet Yee wants to head down that path.
he revved his engine. Shit.
I'm like, we are outside of DC. What are y'all doing, folks?
The
Anyway,
Yee trucks are out. The sun is up.
Katie's people.
The temperature is rising.
Katie has heard the call of her people.
I don't claim them. No. No.
Katie, put back your denim cutoffs.
I mean, I can roll with that vibe, but it's very much like I can wear a Budweiser crop top and denim cutoffs, but it's in a very like Lana Del Rey, we're making commentary on this type of way, and not a I am genuinely in this here. I'm sort of wearing it ironically. Some
Yeah.
could say wearing it out of protest.
Yeah. So, I was expecting some like crazy like animal cruelty videos. Thankfully, there were none on there because I don't know
Excellent.
how that was. I was like, but I mean, there were other things that were, there was a video of the cartel beheading a man, which was rough for me.
Fuck.
That was the second to last, and I'm like, those really get me.
Yeah.
There was another video of a poor young lady who was an escape artist practicing an escape trick in her bathtub filled with water, and it did not end well, unfortunately. Some said, like when I went to Reddit after the fact, because once you get on a seedy website like this, you have to immediately go to Reddit.
Yeah.
A lot of people on Reddit were saying that one was proven to be fake. I don't know, but that was like, it's kind of that weird, like, dissension into like complete and utter evil of the world,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And like just things that really make you feel like you have to take a shower after. I almost did not finish the challenge because, like I said, the beheading, like that, I have a weird, like, I don't like that.
Yeah.
Freaks me out. And so, like, I almost didn't. I had to stop, and then I had to, like, compose myself and then come back to it. But I'm kind of glad I did because I pushed through that video, and then, I ended up on this last video and decided that I kind of wanted to go more into the story about who this gentleman was in the last video, what was going on, and that's how I ended up on the story about the Dnipro Maniacs, which I thought was really I thought it was just a really important story to tell, because as I started reading more about the gentleman in the video and learning more about him, I just felt like I needed to tell a little bit about who he was.
Yeah, this happens a lot when I cover true crime cases, and there's a lot of backlash with true crime being all the rage now. I mean, it's really been all the rage. We talked about the Lizzie Borden case and the fact that, all the women, mostly women, showed up and packed the courthouses every single day of that trial. So true crime is no bigger now than it always has been. However, there is sort of a narrative, certainly in the traditional media outlets, and it's kind of going around. It's sort of like the counter response. You have a movement and then you have a counter response, and it's sort of a counter to the counter belief to the true crime movement right now is that, this is people are profiting off of the unfortunate stories of other people. Like people are profiting off of murder, right? Which is,
Right.
of course, not the case if you understand. But there are lots of people who don't understand, who see it as, this is us profiting off telling a terrible story of something awful that happened to a real human being. And I always challenge that way of thinking with my outlook on it, which is that this terrible thing happened and nothing that I do is going to change the fact that this terrible thing happened to this
Right.
person. But I can change the narrative of what happened by telling their story.
Right.
And so by, this terrible thing happened, this video was taken of this man, and nothing that you do can change that. But now, having looked into it, having researched, having learned about him, you're now
He's more
one
than
of
just...
the you're now one of the keepers of his story.
Right.
And it's the story that has to be kept alive. And that is something that we very much can do, that we
Yeah.
can contribute to, is keeping his story alive and making sure that, people know who this person was.
Right.
So it's never about the people outside the true crime community. They don't get it. It's never about the murderer. It's not about the Jeffrey Dahmers. It's not about the Ted Bundys. It's not about the murderer. It's about the person whose life got snuffed out, and it's about telling their story, and it's about carrying them forward.
Right. Like I said, it helped me understand who this person was and made him more than just some horrible, disgusting video that I found online.
Right.
And I really wanted to just sort of talk about this man who I found to be quite a remarkable person. Sergey, several years prior to this incident, was involved in an accident, a farming accident, to where the machine that he was in, I think it rolled down a hill and he ended up being pinned underwater by this machine. And he officially died that day. And he was resuscitated, and the doctors pretty much claimed that it was a miracle that he survived. He had technically died that day. And then also with his bout with cancer, and then after that, and his struggles, and then his ability to start recovering from that, gaining his voice back, still working, even after being unable really physically to do so. I just thought was really admirable, and I wanted to make sure that people knew that about this story. But after Sergey, 13 more murders followed.
Fuck.
Yeah. Often multiple bodies were found in the same day. The victims were always random, but almost always were in positions of vulnerability. Blunt objects were often used, such as hammers or steel pipes. Some experienced complete barbaric and prolonged torture that I will not get into. All were mangled beyond recognition. No official link was made between all of these murders initially, but that all changed thanks to our lone survivor, the 14-year-old Vadim. Remember, he's the one that got away.
Right. The 14-year-old that went fishing.
Yes. Police initially believed that Vadim was responsible for the murder of his friend and placed him into custody.
Yeah.
Reports say that he was subject to intense interrogation by the police until finally they realized that the young boy wasn't who they were looking for. Some reports said that the police beat him,
I mean,
which
it's possible.
is possible, yes. Vadim agreed to help the police and help them create a composite sketch of his attackers. Several days later, on July 14th, a 45-year-old woman named Natalia Mamarshuk was riding her scooter in the nearby village of Dyovka, As she was passing through a wooded area, 2 men ran towards her and knocked her down. They then took out a hammer or pipe and bludgeoned her to death as she lay on the ground. After she stopped moving, the men then jumped on her scooter and drove off. The attack was witnessed from a distance by many locals. They gave chase, but quickly lost sight of the attackers.
This was in the middle of the day.
Yes.
The fuck?
2 local children also witnessed the attack from up close, hidden in a tent just a few feet away from where Mamachuk was murdered. They provided a detailed description that matched the one given by Vadim. A task force was quickly set up from Kiev, headed by lead criminal investigator Vasily Paskalov. Y'all gonna have to forgive me for these names. Like, it's hard out here for American in the Ukraine. So the manhunt soon grew to encompass most of the local law enforcement. Reportedly, over 2,000 investigators were working on the case. The investigation was initially kept secret. No official information about the murders was released, and local people were not warned about possible attacks.
Because why would they?
Why?
No,
Why? Is that
it's-
important?
They're going to be all right.
Is that important?
No. Nah. Let's not tell
We
people.
just had someone who was brutally attacked.
You maybe should not be riding your bike outside. We have, like,
Make sure you maybe
hammer-wielding
have, like,
maniacs on the
someone
lease.
with you. Like, please don't make yourself vulnerable to
Yeah.
attacks. Like, we're
buddy
not gonna,
system.
Buddy system. We're not gonna.
just want to casually remind people about the buddy system. Like,
It's like nothing to
no.
see here. This woman was just brutally attacked and murdered in broad daylight, but nothing to see here. Yeah. Great job.
good call.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
So the local people were not warned about possible attacks, nor were they provided with descriptions of the subjects either. Which, if you've got a composite sketch, I'm pretty sure the purpose of that is to try to find that person and, like, put that out there so other people can identify that person.
Yeah.
Right? Am I correct in assuming that?
In most cases, yes. Sometimes law enforcement doesn't immediately. So in most cases, when you have a composite sketch that's done, it is released to the public, and law enforcement is reaching out to the public. Hey, do you see a dude who looks like this dude? Send us to that dude, or send that dude to us.
Send that dude to us.
But sometimes law enforcement can, like, they've been known to sit on a sketch for a while. Especially in a case where there's only been one victim who has survived and been able to ID the perpetrator. If you really only have one person's information going into the composite sketch, they could be doubtful of the accuracy of it. You're only really going off one person's opinion, and it could serve. A composite sketch is the type of thing that could serve to, like, really narrow in a case too soon, right? And you don't want to be releasing a composite sketch that effectively looks nowhere close to your perp, which could be the case if you're going off of one 14-year-old boy's opinion, who obviously was scared at the time and probably wasn't taking in there's a lot of factors that go into it. So I could see not doing that. I cannot see not warning the public that there's a danger,
that they should be careful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, we've had how many murders?
It's been almost to, like, 13.
Yeah, it's
it's
a
been
lot.
in the teens.
Far more than is acceptable.
Right.
Which would be 0.
Well, thankfully, I mean, with these things happening, rumors spread.
Mm-hmm.
So rumors kind of spread around the town, and it kind of kept, most of the local population at least somewhat vigilant via gossip and rumor and word of mouth, right?
Excellent. They educated themselves.
Yes.
Perfect.
But a scary time if you think about it. Like, if you are, out, like, trying to live your life, do your thing, and you've got this crazy, like, serial killer going around.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be a scary time. I mean, if you think about it, at this point, it's not just one particular type of person. It's literally just anyone who is vulnerable.
Right.
It's women, it's men,
right.
It's children, it's anyone. So no one really felt safe.
Mm-hmm.
So eventually, the investigators selectively distributed the sketches, and lists of stolen property were sent to local pawn shops because what they were doing was also
robbing these people. Got it. Okay.
And then
Clearly not the motivation.
Not
the primary motivation, because it's massive overkill in what they're doing with the bludgeoning and the torturing, but they're also profiting off of it.
Yes. And on July 23rd, 2007, 19-year-olds Viktor Sayenko and Igor Suprenyuk walked into a pawn shop trying to unload a phone. When the shop owner turned the phone on to check for functionality, the police were notified and able to track its location. The two boys were arrested soon after at the counter of the fucking pawn shop.
Boys?
Yes.
How old were they?
They were 19.
Oh.
So young men, but boys. I'm calling them boys.
Ooh. Ugh. 19. Oh,
19 years old. I'm calling them boys. They're most definitely not men.
Yeah, no.
So they were arrested at the pawn shop. Great job getting them right there. Love
Hell
that.
yeah. You know, it's a bad day when you're arrested at the pawn shop.
Fuck.
It's a tough
Can't
time.
say that I've ever been there.
Look,
I've been to a pawn
you
shop,
know your
but-
life is not going well when you get arrested at the pawn shop counter.
That is true.
It's not working out.
Nope.
You got to reevaluate
Maybe
some things.
some life choices, yes.
You got to think. You got to think this through.
Yes, definitely. So a third suspect, Alexander Hanza, was also arrested that day at his home trying to dispose of evidence like stolen phones and other property. The three boys had known each other for the majority of their lives and hung out together frequently. Supposedly, Igor and Victor bonded through... It was really weird. So, like,
Bonded through having, like, lackey type names.
pretty much.
Igor and Victor.
Yeah, pretty much. Lackey names. But there was this weird bullshit about they connected through a fear of heights, which they overcame by, like, hanging over their 14th floor balcony railing until their fear went away. So, like, their thing was to, like, attack their fear with fear.
It's the most fucking edgelord shit I've ever
Honestly,
heard in my life.
right?
I, as
These
like
fucking-
queen of the edgelords, denounce that behavior as
Fucking
too edgelordy.
Piece of
The
shit.
fuck?
Alexander claimed to be the most squeamish of the three, couldn't even stand the sight of blood.
No.
Supposedly he had a fear of blood.
Okay.
And so the
Sure,
other boys, so the other boys suggested that the best way to get over this was to see it firsthand. And they initially started out with some bullshit fucking animal cruelty type shit. Like, not even going to get into it.
No,
but like,
let's not.
that's where they started with that fucking stupid ass dumb shit.
Yeah, well, because they're going for whatever is easiest.
Yes.
So they're going for something helpless, and
Yes.
an animal,
But it
in
was
certain
weird.
circumstances, is helpless.
It was strange because another piece of information was that Alexander, again, who was the one that was the most squeamish of the three, also had said that it is said, not that he said, but he wouldn't even, like, give his cat a hot, like, a warm bath because he thought that because he was afraid that it would scald it. Like, he was supposed to be very, like, you know, like, he didn't want to, like, he was very weird about that sort of thing.
Okay.
Like, and overprotective of his cat because he
Well,
didn't want to, like,
it's his.
scald it because it was his.
It's his. It's an
But-
extension of him, and he owns that cat.
Right.
But like
it's-
another cat is not
I mean, I
his.
guess, but like my mind, I can't like separate. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I can't. Like, I'm not gonna just be nice to my cat. Like, I want.
Yeah,
I love all the cats.
you're also not a sociopath though, and that
True.
would be the main difference.
True.
So, not knowing anything else about his profile, if he were to be a sociopath, not saying that's the case, but if he were, for them, it's like the cat, and we see this a lot of times with sociopaths that have kids. It's not that the kid is a kid and you don't want to hurt the kid because it's a kid, or that the cat is a cat and you don't want to hurt the cat because it's a harmless animal, like a defenseless animal.
Right.
It's that the cat or pet or child is an extension of themselves and they care about themselves. So their protectiveness of that animal has nothing to do with the fact that we see it all the time in killers who do hurt animals, but they are always nice to their animal, or they always feed their dogs on time, or their dogs are treated really well. Well, it's because the dog is an extension of them. And that doesn't extend to all other dogs, because all other dogs aren't an extension of them.
Makes sense.
It's about their ego. At the end of the day, it just comes down to
makes sense.
to that.
Because I was just sitting there like, how could you like that? It just seemed like such a hypocritical thing to me. I'm like, I was just I couldn't wrap my mind around that. So, but that does make sense.
Good. It's good that you can't wrap your mind around it, because that would mean you're a sociopath.
Good to know.
Yeah.
They kind of that's kind of where they started. They kind of after that took the typical path. They kind of graduated from the smaller crimes to larger crimes. They went from theft to violence, animal cruelty, and then eventually where they ended up with was murder.
Yeah. It's kind of a one-way road.
Yeah. So the three boys were charged with involvement in 29 separate incidents, including 21 murders and 8 more attacks where the victims survived. Supranyuk was charged with 27 of the cases, including 21 counts of capital murder, 8 armed robberies, and 1 count of animal cruelty. Sayenko was charged with 25 instances, including 18 murders, 5 robberies, and 1 count of animal cruelty. Hansa was only charged with 2 counts of armed robbery, stemming from a March 1st, 2007 incident. So our third guy he did not murder anyone, but he was there, and he was actively
Okay, so he
involved.
was because that was going to be my
present.
next question was he there? Was he present?
But they could
Okay.
only charge him with the 2 counts of robbery.
Got it. I mean, I don't know anything about Ukrainian law. I know if you were in the States, if you were present, you could be charged with a whole bunch of bullshit, like accessory to murder.
I mean,
and,
fuck yeah.
Yeah, depending on what they could prove and what they couldn't prove, you could potentially even still catch a murder charge just for being there and being present and not stopping it, not attempting to, and also not fucking reporting it. But.
True. So all 3 confessed quickly, although Supranyuk later withdrew his confession. Their trial began in June of 2008. Supranyuk pleaded not guilty, while the other 2 suspects pleaded guilty to all charges. Supranyuk quickly removed his original defense lawyer in place of his own father. Very Draco Malfoy, like, let me put my father here.
Interesting. Was his father a lawyer?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I
His
was thinking
father
his
was a
father
lawyer.
was like a sheep farmer or something.
No, his father was a
It would
lawyer.
be odd.
So, of course, they went with what? An insanity plea.
Oh, okay.
But clearly, with all of the evidence left behind, and also videos of them, showing like that they were in their, in a frame of mind to just fucking commit murder because they wanted to.
Well, the key, I mean, you're not going to get a fucking insanity defense if you're stealing people's shit and selling it and profiting off of it. Like, you're not going to fucking.
Yeah.
Potentially, you could even get an insanity. I feel like potentially you could even get an insanity defense if you were filming it. Because honestly, if you had if you could argue that you were that outside of your mind that you thought it was like that this was a fine thing to record. You're not trying to cover it up, right?
Right.
But if you're stealing their shit and selling it at the pawn shop, you fucked. Go fuck yourself with your insanity plea.
True. It goes a little. There's a little more about the recording that I will get into. So this fucking little child puts his father in, and it just kind of, this case was so weird to me. As far as the trial is concerned, they went really all over the place. It kind of felt like to me that they we're going to start out with an insanity plea. Well, that didn't work, so let's try this.
I believe the strategy is called grasping at straws.
Pretty much. So, yeah. With that, the defense went for the evidence. Sayenko, who was, we're going to say, which that's his father, Igor, another fucking.
Oh, he was also
another
Igor.
Name. He was another Igor. So
Got
I was
it.
so Igor Sayenko, which was the father, raised questions about the videotape of the searches conducted in the suspects' apartments. According to him, the
Oh,
tape...
that's the videotape we're going to talk about?
No.
We're going to talk about that video?
No.
You fucking... I'm criticizing him.
Oh, yeah.
This child just videoed himself
Right.
murdering, what was it, 21, 25?
It was like over 20 plus people, yes.
Yeah. But we're going to talk about the video that was taken of the search of their apartment and like
Right.
why that wasn't fair.
Right.
So you want to talk about that video?
Yeah, that's exactly
that
where
one?
he went. Yeah, that's exactly where he went.
Okay. Me as the
According-
judge. Oh, that's the video you want to talk about. Oh, okay. Okay. Just making sure, just clarifying.
And not this video, and then like...
Not these 20-something videos.
Yeah. He claimed that the tape constantly stopped and restarted, showing the evidence obtained only after being picked up by investigators, but never the actual moment of discovery. The legal team, which is fishy, that is a little weird.
It's the jump cut defense.
That is weird.
Many a YouTuber has been criticized of this.
It's all in blame, or RuPaul's Drag Race Queen, blame it on the editing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's true.
So...
We can't blame shit on the editing.
No, we can't, girl, because I'm the editor.
This goddamn boring. No, I'm kidding.
So the legal team also denied that the people shown in the murder videos were the suspects, claiming that they are recognized instantly as different individuals. So what he was trying to say was that the people in the videos and all of this evidence was not them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which was completely stupid because it 1,000% was them.
He's just like pausing it on certain frames,
Yeah.
and he's like, "That's not me.
Pretty
Totally
much.
doesn't
That's
look
not
like
my-
me.
that's
Look at
exactly
me."
what he was doing.
He's like standing beside the TV, and he's like, "That doesn't look like me."
That's exactly what his father was doing. He was like pausing it and like, that's not him.
Wow.
And then it's like, sir, have you lost your goddamn mind?
Interesting.
That is
interesting strategy, and by strategy, I mean a lack thereof.
lack thereof. He also argued that there was a fourth suspect that had been initially charged with the murders, but then was suspiciously released. This was actually corroborated by the sister of one of the victims, who claimed that this person was with the group that night of her sister's murder. I couldn't find more about this, or how the sister knew that these people were with her sister at the time of death.
Right.
So I tried finding a little bit more information about that, but apparently one of the victim sisters did corroborate that there was a strange fourth mystery person.
That's unsettling.
Yeah. But when they attempted to bring it up in court, the judge told them to sit down. Katie is a judge.
Be humble. Sit down.
I'm going to tell you what. Put Miss Judge Judy on there. She won't have none of your shit.
She won't.
Not at all.
You tell her to sit down. She doesn't.
So
Who is this fucking judge? Like, is this Kendrick Lamar? Like, the court
Sit
of
down.
Kendrick Lamar? Sit down.
Sit
Be
down.
humble. Hold up, bitch. Anyway.
So, daddy lawyer, that's what I'm going to call him.
Okay.
Daddy lawyer.
Daddy lawyer Esquire.
Yeah. Claimed that the, quote, real killers had wealthy and powerful relatives. Quite like having a lawyer for their father, huh?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But claimed that they had powerful relatives that were essentially using these other boys as scapegoats. He also claimed to have interviewed an escaped victim who didn't want to be named out of fear for their life. This victim is said to have made the claim that there were other people initially arrested for the murders, but were let go due to pressure put on by these mystery families out in the ether somewhere. This Illuminati-style family is trying to protect the actual murderers. And supposedly 2 investigators were fired as well. So there's like some weird stuff going on. There's like some corroboration where it like, but then not.
Yeah, that's dicey.
So
that's
it's-
very dicey.
It's a little dicey. So there were 2 investigators that were
because
fired from that.
There's a long history of police corruption in that part of the world, and it stems from the fact that, you know, for a long time Ukraine was occupied by USSR, and they had horrible, horrible police practices, and there was a massive amount of corruption, especially through the 90s.
Yeah.
And so being that our case is in the mid 2000s, like that certainly could have carried over. There's a lot of smarmy police deals happening over there even today. And so that's that holds a little bit of credence with me. I could see that. I could definitely see that happening.
Yeah. Well, the court showed all of the evidence, including the video footage of the murders and even of the boys attending the funerals of the victims, because they took videos of that.
Did nobody question, like, who the fuck these dudes are that are here with their camcorder?
I'm not
'Cause
sure.
I would definitely question.
Well, apparently in these videos and pictures, they were there. They were shown flipping off the coffins. Again, the defense tried to claim that the pictures had been altered in some way, but an expert was brought in, and in their opinion, they verified that the films and pictures were genuine. Which, again, if you're trying to play devil's advocate, like, I'm pretty sure that, like, who is this expert, right? Who is this expert? Like, I'm pretty sure, given everything that you kind of mentioned about corruption, someone could easily be bought off to say what they want.
It ain't nothing to buy an expert.
But
you get them on sale.
They also, after all of that, when they found that the evidence sort of route that they were taking just wasn't working out, they also claimed that his son had a psychological dependence on, Victor, the other boy, claimed that he had a psychological dependence on Igor, who was essentially seen as the ringleader. They claimed that Supranyuk repeatedly threatened Sayenko and that he feared for his life. Sayenko testified in court saying that he had been in constant fear of Supranyuk since the 7th grade. So that's kind of the route that Victor's defense went with that.
Yeah.
On February the 11th, 2009, the court in Dnipro found Igor and Victor guilty of premeditated murder and sentenced both to life imprisonment. Igor was found guilty of 21 murders, while Sayenko was found guilty of 18. They also received 15 years sentence after being found guilty on the robbery charges. Alexander Hanza, who was not involved in the killings, was found guilty of robbery and sentenced to 9 years in prison. All three were also found guilty on the animal cruelty charges. Several appeals have been made over the years. All have been denied. And Sayenko's father still claims that his son is innocent until this day. The prosecution did not establish a motive behind the killings. Local media reported the killers had a plan to get rich from the murder videos they recorded. One suspect's girlfriend reported that they planned to make 40 separate videos of murders. And I'm like, wait, so this bitch knew? What happened to her? Couldn't find anything about her. And this was corroborated by a former classmate who claimed he often heard Supranyuk was in contact with an unknown, quote, rich foreign website operator who ordered 40 snuff videos and would pay lots of money once they were made. Regional Security Chief Ivan Stupak rejected the claim that the murders were committed to make internet snuff videos, saying that there was no evidence of this. Detectives said that we think they were doing it as a hobby to have a collection of memories when they get old. Deputy Interior Minister Nikolai Kupiansky commented, quote, "For these young men, murder was like entertainment or hunting." At the trial, it emerged that Supranyuk collected newspaper cuttings about the case, and some photographs of the crimes had captions added, including, quote, "The weak must die, the strongest will conquer." So, in closing, I just want to ask you to think a little longer about the links you click and the videos you watch online, because whether or not we'd like to admit it, there is true, unabashed evil that permeates our world. And as we continue into an age where social media is so accessible, anyone can hit the share button. So, what are your thoughts? Had you heard of this case?
I had heard of it, but I never looked into it. So I'm not familiar with any of the details, but I had heard the name of it. And I knew that it took place in Ukraine, but I had never, it always seemed like such a tangled web that I just like hadn't ever looked at it through a microscope. But it's interesting because there's the narrative of, they did this thing and like, so there's the narrative of they're guilty, right?
Right.
And they did it, and that's awful. Somebody did it, and it is terrible. So there's the narrative of they're guilty, they're terrible. But then there's like all these like weird, unsettling pieces, like the sister of the victim who mentioned this fourth mysterious person,
Right.
and what we do know about law enforcement in that part of the world not necessarily being the most reputable agency that there is.
Yeah.
And maybe I don't know if there's validity to the claim that the victims had wealthy family members. It doesn't sound like it. They don't sound like they had, like with the guy who you were talking about, he doesn't sound like he had a bunch of wealthy family members. Otherwise, he wouldn't still be working and trying to take care of his ailing mother.
Right.
Like
Right.
that doesn't sound to me like somebody who came from money. But we have seen cases where law enforcement jumps to convict because they want a scapegoat, because they want to be able to tell the public, we caught this person, it's done. But I think the most compelling piece of evidence for the fact that they were in fact guilty is the fact that after they got locked up, the murder stopped.
True.
So something changed.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you got a crazy, people like a killer like that who has revved up to that level of insanity. And it sounds like they really, there is some escalation there in the fact that we started out with, we started out with people just being attacked and bludgeoned. And then we get to immense torture, which you didn't go into a lot of the details of the torture, but it is very, very disturbing.
Yes.
So there is some escalation there in that we went from like bludgeoning murder to torture murder. But it sounds like they really just like hit the ground running, so to say, and people like that don't stop. Like once you ramp up to that level, you don't stop. It doesn't just cease.
Yeah.
It would be very rare for that to happen. So that to me is pretty compelling evidence that when you lock them up, it stops. If it was somebody else, it wouldn't have stopped.
Yeah.
But it is kind of, it's one of those cases that kind of, there is that lingering question of like, well, what if they actually were scapegoated?
Yeah.
Interesting. I'm not exactly sympathetic because I don't think they were.
I don't think that they were.
Igor sounds like a dick.
Yeah. I don't think that they were. I think that I was like, well, let me see. I was like trying to look at, the pictures match faces to what I saw in the video, and I'm like, this is like 1,000% them. Like, what are you like? I'm like, I don't see where it would have been doctored. I mean, as a professional photo editor,
Oh
myself,
my god. I have a Photoshop subscription, and I think this is definitely undoctored. Was that the photo expert that they hired?
Pretty much.
It was the one guy who had Photoshop.
To me, the case was just, it was insane because it happened, like it hit the ground running. Like they started, and then like within a matter of, in a span of several days, which I think it was like almost a month or so, like that, a little less than 30 days, where they were just like bam, bam, one after the other. And the fact that it always unnerves me and makes me sick to my stomach when I see these things about people who, because I watched this video, what I could of it,
and
I could not watch all of it because it just completely goes against human nature, and the fact that, like, yes, it's murder, but the fact that you add on the layers of, like, you really have, like, no sympathy, no empathy. There's, like, nothing human about you.
It's
the fact that you were just pure evil, and you just are videotaping this just because you fucking can, just because you feel like you have some sort of power or control over somebody, when in reality, you are not shit. You are a fucking worthless piece of shit who you don't even compare to the gentleman or any of them, but in particular, this gentleman that you murdered who fought cancer, who came back from the fucking dead.
Yeah.
And obviously tried his best to provide for his family and loved his family. Like,
right, and
you
you're
are
just
nothing. You are absolute nothing. You do not match his power.
Right.
And
just a pissed off kid with a rock, you know?
That's pretty much all you are.
Yeah.
You are nothing but a fucking child burning ants with a magnifying glass.
Yeah.
That's all you are. And that's all I have to say on that.
Yeah, I mean, there's clearly something. It's rare that a case starts the way that this one does with a crime, because bludgeoning is not like. Bludgeoning is pretty fucking brutal, right?
Yeah.
Like, you have to, if this were to happen in a different context, we would call it a crime of passion, or we would call it, rage, right? Where crime of passion meaning not love, but intense emotion, right? So that emotion can be love, it can be disappointment, it can be rage. But this is the type of thing that we would say, this, if you were a cop and you stumbled across this, you'd say this person was killed by somebody close to them because of the amount of overkill, right? Because there had to be some sort of rage there to justify the amount of overkill. Usually in random stranger killings, there's not that amount of violence incorporated because there's not a grudge there. It's just a random person. So, for a case to start out the way that this one does at such a, like, this thing starts on like level 10, right? There's no ramp up. There is an escalation, but it goes from like really bad to way worse than really bad.
Right.
And that's unusual. But one thing with the murderers being 19, we know that when we have teen murderers, frequently the violence is way worse. The violence is turned way up because you have teenagers in general are more passionate. They have more hormones racing through their bodies. They're just more fucking crazy, to be completely honest with you, than the average adult. So that is kind of working in favor of this being so much worse from Jump Street. But then you have the relationship between Victor and Igor, which is kind of interesting because it does seem very much, from the way that you were telling the story, it seems very much like Igor is the main antagonist and Victor is sort of sucked into this. Victor and Alexander are sort of sucked into this, not to excuse their actions, but there's a power dynamic that's at play there that we see a lot of times in duo murderers, people who work in pairs, that there's one person is sort of, there's an emotional attachment there that goes beyond what is normal or socially acceptable in our society, right? There's a codependency issue there a lot of times, and there's one side of that who is sort of controlling it. But often, interestingly, what we see when we look at relationships like that, it seems like it may seem like Igor is in charge and he's the antagonist and he's leading the charge. But in actuality, Victor has a whole lot more control in that situation than one might think. Right. And he is fueling Igor's need to lead, because if there was no one to lead, then you wouldn't need to be a leader. Right.
Right.
So it's that element of it is kind of fascinating. And then you have this third guy who may just be completely fucking lying about being squeamish, to be perfectly honest.
True.
Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't shown in. From what I understand, he was not shown in the videos engaging in any of the acts.
but he was shown to be present
there.
so he was a lurker.
So, and I think he is actually at this time he's free.
Oh,
now.
okay.
I think he got it was 9 years. Yeah, so he was just released a couple years ago.
Thanks.
So, but yeah, that's my case for you guys today. So,
Yeah.
I don't.
Sure.
wanna
I'm glad we
encourage
have
you-
Virginia's Candle because that was quite
I told
dark.
you it was quite dark. I obviously am not going to be the one to sit here and tell you not to do something, but like I'm not providing the link or the website or wherever it is just because it just doesn't. If you guys are going to find it, you'll probably find it on your own anyway, but I'm not going to direct you there to it. Just like I said, just be careful
How
about
did it
what
get
you want.
posted? Does anybody know? Like, how did it reach the internet if this was like a hobby thing and they were just filming it for themselves?
It just leaked. I don't
Who
know
the
if
fuck
they
was
leaked
like,
it.
let me put this on Facebook?
Why do you have anything
Yeah.
that's leaked on anywhere? I mean,
Shit.
I'm not 100% sure if they leaked it themselves. I don't think that they did. I think it just ended up being leaked
Yeah.
earlier on. I think because it was leaked in 2008. So I think like a year after these, it was leaked, and someone gave it some stupid name, and that's where it went.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I certainly am guilty of like all these like videos and shit like that. I mean, I'm not anymore because we do this, but before this life and another life,
In another world.
all of that shit, I was like, that shit's fake. Like starting with the 2 girls 1 cup thing and going through all of that shit, I'm like, that's all fake. All of it's fake.
Yeah.
But like sometimes it's not. Like sometimes it's real. There's another case that's very famous that Netflix decided to make a fucking like, it's the story of a psychopath who just wanted to gain fame for himself, and Netflix went ahead and gave it to him by making a fucking documentary about
Sure
him.
did.
And he is sitting in prison right now, jacking off to the fact that there's a Netflix documentary about him that's
Right.
out there. I refuse to mention his name on the show. I'm sure that you are aware of his name, but he had a little something to do with a video involving cats. And that's all we'll say. He's also a fucking murderer and a scumbag, and I'll never say his name on the show. But sometimes he also posted videos online. Sometimes the shit's real.
Yeah, no, it is, and this all happened like this was 2007. So like, you know, this is when did YouTube start? I feel like it was
Around there.
around that time or just before that time, but
It was
at a time where, you know, we're seeing the birth of like social media sharing, video sharing, like a lot of that was gaining popularity. And there's just a lot of dark shit out there.
Yeah.
Like whether or not you want to believe it, I try not to believe it. Like when I look at something and I'm just like, I just want this to be fake. Like it has to be fake. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
like going through these other videos, there's, like I said, you've got the guy shoving a fucking glass up his ass. Didn't mean to rhyme. But, and, or
Getting
you've
into
got like
poem.
this guy with a fucking, he's got his dick split in half. And he's got a fucking drill in his dick going at it. And I'm like, what the fuck? People are fucking sick.
Yeah.
People are twisted.
Yeah.
The internet's a dark place. Y'all stay away from it.
Get off the internet.
Get off the internet. That's what we're saying.
Live in a tin house with a
Just
with a
listen to
fucking-
your podcasts. That's all.
with a short rave radio. So that you can get the podcast. Yeah. No. Well, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. Why don't you tell them where else they can get
pretty
this fucking
fucked.
podcast?
Yeah, if you decide, other than shortwave radio, if you decide that you'd like to still be a member of the internet, jury's out for me. You can find us on Instagram at The Haunted Heart Podcast, on Twitter at The Haunted Heart. You can also email us anytime to tell us something nice. Email us, tell us something nice.
Something nice,
Tell
something
us
good.
something nice about your day.
Oh, I've got something nice.
Or your week.
I've got something nice.
What?
We dropped down to a 4.5 in our reviews.
Amazing.
So, with that, I'm going to tell you to get on your fucking podcast app, rate us 5 stars, bitch, because if you love this show, we want to know. And if you leave us a fun, witty, review, we will talk about it on the air for you.
We will. And then there's Patreon. Yeah, if you want a candle lit for you at the beginning of the episode, if you would like to send you an invocation.
If you would like to light our darkness.
Yes, we need it. If you would like all of those good vibes for health, wealth, and happiness, like the ones that we sent Virginia at the beginning of the episode, you can find us at patreon.com/thehauntedheart. And it's The Haunted Heart, right?
Yeah.
Not The Haunted Heart Podcast?
Yeah.
Whatever. Search for us, girl. You'll find us. Patreon.com/thehauntedheart. You can become a supporter of the show. And we have all sorts of cool extra shit for you on there.
Yeah.
And we really appreciate it. It helps us keep getting the show out to you. Keep bringing you down with sad ass stories like this one. And
that's true.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to figure out a way to redeem us next week.
Yeah. Next week we're gonna cover fucking My Little Pony. I don't know. Shit. We're
Actually,
doing something fun.
My Little Pony gets kinky from what I hear. So
yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot there. There's bronies. There's a lot to be mentioned.
All right, guys. So while we wash our fucking eyeballs out, I'm gonna wash my eyeballs. Katie's just gonna wash her balls.
I'm just gonna wash it all.
And you know what you got to do, folks. Until next time, stay spooky.